All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
Hey, ZB, my man. I asked you yesterday. I wanted you to put a Florida Man headline because the Florida Man headlines are insane. Can you put a Florida Man headline on what you witnessed last night?
Bald-headed, bearded Florida man
attacks masked man and avoids detection.
Exactly. You could go on and on and on. I was going to say causes havoc on Canadian soil, or wreaks havoc on Canadian soil. A bald-headed, bearded Florida man attacks masked man, avoids detection. Friends of the masked man seek revenge. That would be your Florida man headline today.
Hey, send them in to Hazy B if you've got any Florida man headlines from what you saw last night.
Man, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential for different headlines. A lot of potential, because what a game, man. That was a soap opera last night. It was unlike anything I can recall experiencing, like in the building, being there, just because of the craziness of like what's on the ice, what's off the ice. Then I was getting texts from people saying, hey, Stolarz is on a stretcher here. And I'm like, really?
Man, oh man. Like, honestly, I sent you that too, Hayes. Like, has this week of hockey and on and off the ice been more insane than you could ever think about it? With the Colorado game, Colorado-Dallas, into the Winnipeg game, into what we saw last night, and the stories within the stories. And, listen, first and foremost, I hope Anthony Stolarz, I don't know if there was updates today. I didn't see that. Craig Berube didn't rule him out for tomorrow. I don't know what the hell that was.
There's no chance he's playing tomorrow.
Well, I hope not.
0% chance he's playing tomorrow.
But the range of emotions going through it, we were in the group text. I'm like, hey, seems fine. And then you're like, I heard he's on a stretcher. And I'm like, he's out of the building. Like, it was just the weirdest. Had that all gone down all at once, then we're talking a different story here today, if you ask me. Because if he stays down and he's stretchered off and that, then it's crazy. But the delay in between, like, that's where I don't know. Like, it's the weirdest thing. And, you guys know me. I'm a goalie hugger, so I believe that a goaltender should be afforded to his space.
To what extent then last night? Are you going to go on the record and say Sam Bennett should have been suspended?
No, I don't think so, because
and that's what's important. Like, if a goalie hugger, a self-professed goalie hugger is saying no, then I think that's something significant to point out. Because if the goalies aren't going to put their hands up and say, you got to save us from this, then I don't know what anyone else can really be expecting.
We got, like, people on Twitter. I get it's Leafs Nation. They're going nuts. They think the bearded, bald guy, Florida man, is completely insane, and he's ruining Maple Leafs' lives. He went to the net, and the only way I could describe it last night was there wasn't a vicious elbow. He bumped into the goaltender. There's been other crashes into the net that have been way more egregious, that have been called or haven't been called. Everybody, and let me just inform you of this, that the players, they're not fascinated and fixated on this like everyone else is. They have to focus on trying to take a stranglehold in the series with Joseph Woll in the net. First of all, I don't know how they're going to handle this, because clearly they're pissed off. Nobody wants somebody taking their goaltender. It was just like when Corey Perry accidentally kneed John Tavares in the head. And Foligno went up to him and said, look, man, I don't care if it was an accident or not. That's my captain. He's stretchered off, and you're going to have to pay the price. Other than Max Domi, I don't know who would want to do that tomorrow night, because Sam Bennett is a tough customer. And do you want to go chasing that guy around the ice? This used to be handled like this. A 6-1 game in February next year. If anybody can handle their own business with Sam Bennett, that's when it would be handled. But if you want to chase the guy around on the ice and somebody take a 5-minute major for high sticking or slashing or whatever, and they score 2 goals in the power play and you cost yourself, you're a bunch of dummies. So this is going to be handled later. No. Maybe there's a blowout coming in the series where somebody wants to do something. But like I said, if you're going to do something, watch out, because that guy's pretty tough.
Last night was the night to do it, though. Like, it was 4-1 going into the third period. By then, they knew what had happened to Stolarz. They knew that Sam Bennett was the reason he wasn't in there. Whether it was, listen, he took a slap shot to the mask earlier in the game. There's a lot of people trying to connect them. I don't obviously know exactly what led to it, but this is where people's focus is at. And I hear what you're saying, but you mentioned it. Nick Foligno jumped on the ice and said, you got to pay a price right now. Now, Nick Foligno's a tough customer. So is Corey Perry. I don't know who that would have been or should have been on the Leafs, but I'm agreeing with you moving forward that that ship has sailed now. Like the time to do it was last night. The time to say, you know what, you got to pay a price here, and you got to step up. And if you don't, we're gonna drag you into it, or I'm gonna drag you into it. Whoever happens to be that guy, whether it was Domi or McMahon or McCabe, there's a number of guys who maybe were capable of doing it. It may not have gone well for them. And, I don't know what Craig Berube's marching orders were, because after the game, he was asked the question about his team's response, and he had to pause. Right?
Yeah,
you guys heard it. He paused and hit, because I can tell you, if he was on the ice and it was 1987, what would have happened? We all know what would have happened.
We all know.
It would have been a very different story. And he collected himself, and I think rightly so, because they won the game. I think it would have also been a very different reaction to everything if they had lost.
Correct.
That's a big part of this right now. I think that allows you to have the comment you just had, and the opinion you had. If they lost, they blew that game, and Bennett's skating off the ice smiling, that's then a very different complexion.
It's another dagger.
Absolutely. It was mandatory they held on to win that game, which they did. They deserved the game. They played great last night. And it's almost frustrating in a way that obviously there's so much focus on this, and there should be, because of who we're dealing with here, both Sam Bennett and Stolarz. We're talking about the starting goalie, who I don't think there's a chance he's playing tomorrow, and I don't know when he's going to play again. I mean, who knows when he'll play again?
That's a reality.
Well,
that's the reality.
If it's a concussion, it's mandatory a week. Is that not that's the concussion protocol? My understanding is the concussion protocol is mandatory a week. That's 3-4 games.
Well, I think you have to have 48 hours symptom-free, and then you can start ramping up your on. I don't know what it is.
Well, they were careful to announce what it was, too, right? Maybe because of that. Because the spotter didn't get him out of there. There was no spotter.
Because he played for 10 minutes more.
I get that. I understand that.
That's the crazy part about all of this, and I'm still trying to piece it together, and I don't know how you guys feel about this. Okay, I was once knocked out with a slap shot to the chin. So he took a shot in the chin. It wasn't a slap shot, but it's still when you get a direct shot in the chin, you feel it regardless. Okay, you could maybe tie the two together. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say, well, that happened earlier and this one happened earlier. We're just putting the facts in front of us. He has the Bennett with the forearm shiver to the back or the side of the head. He's unsuspecting. Keep in mind, with a shot, you know it's coming, so you can try and brace. Unsuspecting, you're battling for the puck. You're battling for position increase. You don't know that head shot's coming. So that surprises him. But the weirdest part for me, and I'm not going to make an excuse for it, is he played. He got up, he played. And he had a TV timeout where he was yucking it up with Woll. It seemed like fine. This is what they showed on TV, Hayes. You were at the building. But then the next TV timeout, it goes south for him. And now he's got to leave. And then we get word that he's leaving on a stretcher, which is very concerning.
Yes, exactly. That's extreme.
Yes, you wonder when the adrenaline comes off, maybe, something else. Because a lot of times we've been injured and you get hurt during a game. This guy's adrenaline would have been through the roof. He would have been able to battle through anything because he's in a playoff mode, game one, but the adrenaline comes down, and now maybe some symptoms pop in there that are very concerning. So that's first and foremost what I'm concerned about. But the way it all went down, the ref missed it. That should have been a penalty.
That's definitely a penalty. At a minimum, it's a penalty.
At a minimum.
And this is the thing with Sam Bennett in particular.
Right.
And I'd love to get we talk about truth serum all the time. How George Peros and the league and the Department of Player Safety, they feel about how this guy continues to push their buttons. Because he does so many things that are right on the edge of the playoff line. The gray area in the regular season is one thing. It expands in the playoffs. By each round, it gets further and further and further. And this guy is straddling it to the millimeter.
Well, did he get anything for the Marchand punch?
Nothing, and that's the point. 2 years ago, he does what he does to Nyes, nothing. Now, listen, you can look at that, what he did with Nyes, and say they battled, they're coming together, and blah, blah, blah. He knows what he's doing there. Like, he's like, I'm going to win this battle, I'm going to bury this guy, because if you want to get into a tussle with me, I'm going to win it. He knew exactly what he was doing with Bunting. We're watching it right now, 2 years ago. Buries him with a cross-check. Nothing from the league. Here's one on Jake Neighbors earlier in the year, I guess. Again, not in the playoffs, so a different story. Yeah. The one on Marchand last year was vicious, man. That was vicious, and he knew exactly what he was doing, and the league did nothing. And that is where I think Leaf fans and other fan bases around the league are justifiably frustrated with the league, because you can't look at this one, which I think was the least egregious or vicious of all the examples we just gave. And the truth is, 99 times out of 100, the goalie gets up, moves on with the game, moves on with his life, and we forget it a shift later. There's nothing to it. The guy just moves on. The reaction, it exploded because of what happened with Stolarz. The result of Stolarz has led to the explosion here. But if you're the league, you're looking at Sam Bennett and his lineage of transactions and transgressions, and you're saying, I didn't make you pay that price. I didn't make you pay this price. I didn't make you pay this price, so I can't make you pay this price. And that's the frustration, I think, is if you made him pay for the other stuff that he did, which I think I think the thing on Marchand last year should have been a suspension. Like, that was intentional and vicious, man. And they didn't suspend him. So if you're not going to suspend him for that, he's not on the books, you're not going to suspend him for this.
Well,
and he just keeps poking at the league. Brian. He's like, come get me. You can't get me.
But in the end, Hayes, you're right. And the lineage. But last night that's not a suspendable hit. That's what
I hear you, Noodles, but if you always talk about the books.
You're right.
You say the books more than anybody on the show.
I was just going to say,
but if you don't put them on the books, there's no books.
You're right, and that's a great point, because I was just going to say.
I love that line.
Well, but you're right.
It's a great line.
But
there's
I was just going to say.
There's no books.
I was just going to say, if he was on the books from before,
yes,
then a fine or an egregious play like that adds to it and goes, okay, we got to clip you because you're a repeat offender from here, and here.
Right, we've warned you, and we got our eyes on you, and that's what I'm saying. There's a part of me that almost, it's like he's looking at the league saying, come, you can't get me. What are you going to do to me? Because you think he's going to stop? He's not going to stop. Wait till Sam Bennett gets cooking tomorrow night.
Noodle said protect the goal. You got to protect the teams, because you can't have a guy taking out players and then the other team who can deal with it themselves, and a team like Toronto, they just don't necessarily handle business like that, and that's for you to make your own decision on what that's all about.
Right.
But you can't have a guy running over a goalie and then there's no consequences, and then the next night the goaltender doesn't play. But guys, in this particular instance, I get what you're saying about the books. I honestly don't know. And there's a concussion expert. I guess he's all over this. He's tweeting about it nonstop. And he's saying if you throw up, it's really serious and you got to go to the doctors. And, the wrist shot might have influenced. I don't know. But I don't know if what he did, he took the puck to the net and bumped into the goaltender.
I understand that.
There was nothing vicious there, man. It wasn't even his elbow. It was the backside of his glove that glanced against the side of his helmet.
But
it's not a suspendable play.
Do you believe Bennett when he says, I didn't even know I made contact? Do you believe that?
No.
Of course not.
I don't. But players know.
Of course they know.
If he had a look to the side, his nose would have went like this.
Exactly. Yes. He knew what he was doing, and he was like, I'm coming through, and I'm not going to move. I'm not going to chicken wing, but I'm not going to move. And if I get you, I get you. And that's what I'm saying is that
it's a Stanley Cup playoffs. Nobody's going to the net, and then they're going to put their Peter Pan flip-flops on and tiptoe around.
That's the question I'd ask you guys from a Leaf perspective, because I appreciate Berube's approach. He's like, I'm done with it. I'm not talking about it, and the Leafs are going to be quiet. The quiet guy doesn't mean that it's necessarily settled. That doesn't mean they're going to fight Bennett.
It's Pat Quinn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying anything. I'm going to stand over here for 13 years and watch out. And I think what you're getting at is, if the league isn't going to do anything, and I'm not trying to overreact to this play, because I agree with your assessment. I don't believe that in a nutshell is a suspendable play. But if Bennett is a guy we know how he's going to play, historically in this league, if the league doesn't take care of it, the players do. And that's where I'm curious where I guarantee you the Leafs are saying something to the league, the sorts of, no, we're good. If something happens on our end, Don't even think about suspending one of our guys. And I think the bigger story of this going into Game 2 is now if you're the Leafs, I'm not focusing on Sam Bennett. I'm focusing on the protection of Joseph Woll. You're a Joseph Woll injury away from Dennis Hildeby being in net or Matt Murray being in net. So I'll bet you Brad Treliving is sending a notice to the league, and Berube is telling his guys, if someone steps foot close to Woll, knock their teeth out. Like you got to lose your mind if someone goes close to him.
Crazy idea that Joseph Woll is now under the gun. And I know, Jamie, you and a bunch of other people said if they're going to go on a run, they will probably at some point need both goaltenders to step in. I did not see these circumstances happening, but I'll tell you what, sometimes you just told to play and you got to go in there and you got to play well. And he's got to avoid that one where it just looks like he doesn't even see it or knows what's going on, because those are backbreakers. I get it. It was a difficult situation. One was a blown coverage, and the guy tipped it onto the net. This one here, I'm sorry. I don't even know that guy's last name.
Can't go in.
He ripped it under the bar. Yeah, he's a good NHL player.
Good shot.
Don't even know how to say his last name. That should not be going under the bar. Like, you got to make that save there. And that's been the thing with him. That one goal, even if he has a stellar performance, it's just that one goal where you're like, man, that one's got an odor to it. It just can't happen. Well, he's under the gun. He's got to play good.
You're 100% right. The guy at the other end allowed 3 bad goals yesterday.
That is maybe the biggest story of the game. Bob was terrible last night.
I thought he was awful.
Oh, here we go.
No. I shouldn't say the biggest story.
I'm surprised you didn't text us.
Well, I'm done with you guys.
After the first one, you should have texted us. Bob's head is up his ass.
I'm not texting you guys about anything anymore.
What are you talking about? We were in the group
I'm done with you guys.
This was an awful goal. Tanev's one. Tanev didn't even put his arms in the air. He's like, did that go in?
Oh, it was great. That was big. Getting 5 off Bob is not something I had on the bingo card. But, I thought it would be the under yesterday.
Well,
I made that very
right.
clear.
You text me and go, the overs or the unders blown through the roof or whatever. Yeah. But this one, you heard Tanev. I don't know. You would have, because you listened to Tanev's media. But he goes,
it bounced times.
He goes, I was just throwing it towards Nyes' stick. He goes, it bounced a couple times. I was saying it was in the back of the net. Lost in all of this because there were so many crazy storylines. As Bobrovsky was no good. Like that, good on Willie to shoot from there. If we were talking today about 30 seconds into the series and Sam Reinhart shoots from on the goal line and it goes in,
first shot of the game, first shot of the series.
First shot of the series, you're going, did that go in?
And it was massive
I
for
will
the
say
whole
one
building.
thing, guys. Bob didn't look good last night, not his best performance. Let's have a complete understanding that the Panthers, Bob, all of it, they're going to be better Game 2.
Well, and they got better as the game
Nobody needs to go down in an 0-2 hole, but even if they do, they're probably not going to sweat it that much. But the first period, and you can argue maybe the first 2 periods, that was the first time with these guys, and I've always talked about the Chicago. It's all about the intensity and answering the bell come playoff time. And it seems like in the past, the Maple Leafs would kind of sag or fade into a game, and it's like you don't notice anybody. And intensity and the physicality. And in the past, I mentioned the Chicago Blackhawks, who weren't exactly rough and tumble customers, but you know what they did? Showtime, Taze, Patrick Sharp, all those guys, they just played better than the other team. And last night, in the first and second period, is one of the first times where I'm like, maybe it's taken this long for it to click into these guys. They were on their toes, and they just played better. And they took it to them. They didn't fall into the trap of saying, oh, there's going to be no space out there. We just got to dump it, and maybe we get it, and maybe we don't. And then after the game, we're going to say maybe our structure and our details weren't there. They took it to the Florida Panthers. I get it, Bob wasn't good, but they kind of forced him into a hole to not be good. I thought that it was one of those times, even the excitement of Morgan Riley after this goal. When have you ever seen that reaction to him, where he's just swearing and just jacked up? I thought it was awesome, and for the first time, I was like, maybe now they understand that there's a different level. And I mentioned it yesterday, guys, in the afternoon. It's like, you got to find something that you've never brought to the table before. Remember a couple years ago, I think it was obviously against L.A., when McDavid, it clicked for him and he went into, nuclear McDavid mode. And it was like, this guy's finally got it, that he can be the total difference maker and change the game. That first 2 periods, that's as good as I've seen those guys play.
I totally
playoffs.
agree. I thought their first period, that's the best period I can remember them playing all year, and at any playoff period I can recall in years, ever.
Yeah, it wasn't, the big bad Florida Panthers.
No, they were outstanding. They were outstanding. And I think Willie scoring that quick was so significant to allow yourself to breathe and to allow yourself to realize, okay, Bob is human. And let's clarify, like Bob would want the first one back. He'd want the Tanev goal back. Willie's second.
I didn't think Morgan Riley's was a good goal either.
I would agree with that. Although I said that a lot about Hellebuyck in the last round, and you guys jumped on me. But needless to say, we'll move on from that. You're right, though. That was a Hellebuckian goal that he gave up there. But it's a 2-on-1, and he's cheating. Maybe I'll leave that to you. The technicalities. The point I'm trying to make: Nylander's second was a beauty, man. That was a beautiful goal, and the Nyes goal was a beautiful goal. Like it was because the significance of the Nyes goal was that Domi was just in alone like 2 minutes before that to make it 5-3. And he tried to go shelf, and Bob made the stop on him. And then the game, I can't tell you how nervous the energy was in the building. I'm sure you guys can imagine. When it's 4-3, you're thinking, seriously?
They're coming back.
They're going to come back, and everyone's chugging. And then Nyes, much like he did in the previous round, he takes off and just pulls off a beautiful move, the hands to go top shelf. It was just an incredible goal.
And don't forget, just for everybody's knowledge, I don't think it was a dominant performance from Mitch Marner. I don't think it was his best game. But that pass right there, that assist tonight, massive contribution to the game.
Big time.
It was.
And
big time.
That's just finding a way to not necessarily have your A game, but it's a massive contribution. If he just kind of dogs it and doesn't get to that puck, that play doesn't happen. He made the play. It's a massive play in a game.
Yep.
So build off of that one moment and try to turn it into a whole game the next one.
Absolutely.
It's a big contribution, man.
Yeah, it's a big start. And, obviously the Stolarz scenario has changed the complexion of the series, and it'll be significant. I will say this, and I'm curious where you stand on this, Noodles.
Yeah.
Like 2 of the 3 goals were really shaky. There's no denying that.
Yeah,
But it's a tough spot. Like to
Very
go
tough.
in, you're up 4-1. I'm sure you've been in that situation where your teammates are looking around and they're like, Woll's going in? What are we doing here? Like, what's happening? I love the timeout by Berube. I thought that was a really smart timeout. But I think, for me, I throw away the third period and just say, just find a way to win and then reset, and you're probably going to start game 2. That's when the clock starts on the evaluation for Joseph Woll.
And that's fair, because all he had to do was somehow get them through to a win. They did. And listen, I thought he made a couple good saves. It's not like he was just a garden gnome in there. There was, Florida pressed. He had some good tight saves in tight. I actually thought his second period was sharper when he just kind of came in and he made a blocker save right away. He made a chest save where he stepped out to it. Like, he looks solid. And keep in mind, he's worked hard in practice, so it's just more about game timing. But you got to give Florida credit, too. They were pushing, and I thought Florida got going.
You know who was great? Was this guy, 63, man.
Marchand put a clinic
Marchand
on
was
it.
unreal. I thought all night, but in the third period, he was so good.
He was good. But the point being is, yes, it was some shaky goals. Barkov threw one at the net with about 2 minutes left from a bad angle, and I was like, oh, my God, that almost went in.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Hayes.
I was just going to say, because you just jogged my memory, Austin Matthews had a wide-open, empty net chance to close it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And he
missed. Fired it 8 feet wide.
He missed it by a mile, man. And
dude, he also had that one-timer opportunity.
Oh, my God.
But, Noodles, I wanted to ask you, for Joseph Woll, how far in the mental spectrum did he have to go? Like, how far into no man's land can you be sitting on the bench? Are you like, what chores do I have to do tomorrow? Like, where could your mind go to be so far away from playing in the NHL in a playoff game where in a split second a guy's barfing in front of you and
it's
you take a dump in your pants and realize that you're going in?
Okay, few things here. Let me unpack this here for you. He's worked hard. Like, it's not like he played 6 games this year. He played as much or more than Stolarz, correct?
I know, but Noodles, I just want to know how far into outer space it could possibly be for a backup. Like, where can you get to as far as not being ready to play in the game?
Well, I mean, okay, so here it is. I would think when you saw that collision, first of all, you see the slap shot, the shot from Reinhart in the face. He shakes it off. He's fine. Okay, no problem. A lot of times as a backup, you're watching your starter and going, okay, that was a good save or whatever. If there's a collision, you're watching to see if they get up. You have a back and forth with them at TV timeouts. That's why this whole transaction was even more wacky for me watching it live unfold on TV, because he has the collision. The collision. Bennett gives him the shot to the head, and he lays there, shakes his head, gets up, and you're going, okay, seems fine. Because I'll give you an example. Was it last week, LA Kings, Victor Arvidsson took a goaltender interference penalty as he went hard to the net on Kemper, and he clipped his head, and Kemper laid there for a second, and then he jumped up and waved off the bench because he knew right away the spotter's going to pull him out. So he fought through it. So Stolarz gets up, he plays. So as a backup, you're sitting there on the bench going, he's fine. He comes at the TV timeout, they have a transaction. I don't know what they're saying. You all right? You all good? You need some water? Whatever. Stolarz is smiling, little chuckle. He looks like in good spirits, goes back to the net, continues to play. The next TV timeout, now, he's puking and it hits him. That's the weirdest thing for me. It's because as a backup, the emotions are like, I can go in here and then, okay, he's fine. And all of a sudden he's puking. You're like, okay, I'm going in here. You can get through one game. He woke up, or not even woke up. Last night, he knows how bad Stolarz is or what it is. He knows I'm either in for the rest of the series, I'm in for the next game, I'm in. So now the mental thing
now
starts
you're
to
prepared.
kick in. Now you're going, okay, I'm playing.
I would love to know what he was thinking between those TV timeouts. When Stolarz came over and is laughing, so I'm good, man. Don't worry about Bennett.
Yeah, you're like, I can have some more popcorn.
Wall literally is probably like, I wonder if I'll go for dinner tonight. And then all of a sudden he's like, this guy is throwing up everywhere. I have to play.
Yeah.
All right, confirm or deny coming up. We will ask questions about Joseph Woll. We'll start teeing up the others series, which continue, or we'll start tonight. The Oilers are in action tonight. The Jets are in action tomorrow. We got Game 2, of course, tomorrow. Leafs Panthers as well down at Scotiabank. Mike Johnson coming up today. Craig Button coming up today. Mac T, Craig McTavish will join us later this afternoon. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, we've got a bunch of confirm or denies here. We were spinning off the Florida man content that I think everyone loves.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone has an appreciation for it. We asked for people to submit some ideas. Kyle sent me a DM on Instagram here. He said, Florida man mugs new dad on his birthday in front of police and gets off scot-free, no arrest.
That is a good one.
That's a beauty, man. He's referencing Matthew Tkachuk and Marner, obviously,
Let me
at the end of
just
the game.
explain to people that Matthew Tkachuk, if it was Florida versus Ottawa, I would almost bet my life that he's fight his brother off the opening faceoff. I honestly think that that's just how the operation works, where this guy played junior with Mitch Marner. They were on the same line. They won a championship in London together, and he just said, you know what? And it might be hard for people to understand this, and I'm not trying to big league you because I played in the league, but there's some teams in the National Hockey League where they have a philosophy where it's, if you want 2 points, okay, some nights you might get it, but to take those 2 points, we're going to take a chunk. Like, we're just going to, that's how it works. We're just not going to go away quietly, and that's what they do. So at the end of the game, and you can call it competitiveness, you might call it a little cuckoo, whatever you want to call it, but that's just their philosophy. If you're going to take the 2 points, we're just going to scrap, and we're going to be dirty, and we're going to do goofy stuff, and that's what we're going to do. And that's how the Florida Panthers are going to operate, man. You're going to get the 2 or the W, they're going to look to take a piece on the way out the door. They're just not going to go away quietly, and it's a part of the reason that they've had so much success. You saw them stick with that hockey game last night. That game is a blowout, man. 4-1, that thing should be locked and sealed. And guess what it was? Even when it was 5-3, it's like, let's get 5-4. Maybe we can make something happen. They do not stop and they don't quit. And that's a big part of their success.
And
sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
No, but it's a good answer, and I just want to jump on it. Is Matthew Tkachuk, I didn't think he played very well. I didn't think he looked very well. I didn't think he was super.
No,
he didn't
very
have his
ineffective
egg.
last night.
Right. So what he was trying to do is do something on the way. He's trying to go, you're right, like I didn't have my stuff tonight, but I'm going to try and take a piece or try and do something, send a message, do whatever. That's what he was trying to do, because I didn't think he was particularly effective. And
Very
I thought,
ineffective.
Well, and I thought Paul Maurice moved past him a couple times. Like there was,
he doesn't look like he's flying around out there. Now he's not a burner anyway.
No,
that's not how he skates.
But he was effective on the power play. They were moving the puck. But I'm just saying, like usually, he's a guy that is just a little bit more noticeable every shift, and you just didn't have it last night. A lot of those guys didn't have it, especially early on.
And I do think it is important to, like, I agree with what you said. Like, Florida had a really good third. They kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Wall gave up goals that shouldn't go in. That should not have been a 5-4 game. Like, if Stolarz is healthy, I do think it's a blowout, or it's 4-1 or 5-1 or 5-2. But he wasn't healthy. Wall goes in. They get a couple on the board, and all of a sudden you're shaking a little bit. But in the end, the Leafs found a way to make it happen. And I think if you're Marner and Tkachuk at the end of the game, there, you have two options. You either hack and whack back, or you do what Marner did and just say, "I'm out of here. See you later. Game's over. You're not going to do anything anyway," which is true. I mean, that's kind of how you have to handle Matthew Tkachuk, because he's not going to fight. Like, he's not. There's no
that's
fight.
a dangerous game. I've been put in that
is,
position before, where I'm like, my only defense, like, you get really stupid thoughts in your head where it's like, you want to do something, like you want to go stick swinging or like try to.
But that's how you get suspended.
Exactly. So
maybe I'm the wrong. I would have loved to see him take a 2-minute slash.
I would have loved to too, Noodles. But then then Tkachuk can react with, okay, my gloves are off and I'm swinging, and then it's like, can you handle that? No, I agree with you. Personally, now again, that ship sailed, I think, 9 years ago with these guys. That's not how they're wired. They're not wired. Like, Mitch isn't wired that way. Austin's not wired that way. They know exactly what he's doing. He knows, and all he's going to do is hack and whack and then skate off the ice. Yeah, so you have two options. I guess what I'm saying is you can't hack and then turn around and try to skate.
That's intimidating. Like, he's like, you know what? I suck tonight. We're going to lose this hockey game. I got to plant something with Mitch Marner where maybe in this we can all push him out of the series.
Well,
that's going to be their game plan.
But that's
of course it is.
I know, but that's why I would have liked to see just turn around and chop him and keep skating backwards. Don't engage, but you make him feel your stick and go, you know what? You want to chop me? I'm going to chop you back. Like, again, I understand, and you don't want to engage. And if he drops his gloves and goes at you, now you're in one. And I understand all of the ramifications that potentially could come with it. Mm-hmm. But you also want to send a message. It's like, dude, you don't bother, like you're not, like we all saw it. Remember years ago, who was it that was punching Matthews in the face and had
who was that? It was
Ben Sherratt, maybe.
And he had a horse collar.
Ben Sherratt. Well, there's Marchand on Sedin, which is the most famous one, clearly.
But you want to let them know, like, I'm not going to engage with you, but you don't bother me. And just like a chop back, take offsetting, slashing penalties, and it's just like, hey, I'm, again, that's maybe the old school in me.
I totally agree with you, Noodles. I think if that were in him or any of these guys, that we would have seen that 7, 8, 9 years ago. It's not how they're wired. And I think when you look at the way they reacted at the end of Game 1 against Ottawa, the Sens tried to drag them into it. Like, they tried. I referenced it. I saw it. I think everyone would have. David Perron was chasing McCabe around and trying to engage in him, and I don't think he was trying to fight, but he was slashing him, hacking him, trying to headbutt him, trying to put him in a headlock. And McCabe was like, "I'm not doing it. Game's over. We're out of here." That seems to be the Berube approach. Like, once the game's over, keep it within the whistle. Let these guys unravel themselves and move on. But anyway, I mean, in the end, Mitch is good. The Leafs are in a decent spot. I mean, the goaltending is concerning, and let's begin there with confirm or deny. Confirm or deny, Joseph Woll's playoff experience in the last 2 years should allow for confidence from the Maple Leafs.
I totally confirm this. I'll go first because he has the ability, and just like I talked about the other star players from the Maple Leafs reaching down and finding a different level, Joseph Woll's had some playoff performances where he's been unbelievable. Hasn't he, Hayes? Like, had some games where he's just been fantastic.
Yeah.
So he's just got to dig down and understand that he's heavily relied upon on a team that's trying to do something here, and they don't want to have this hinder it. They don't want this to blow up in smoke because Stolarz is not in net. He's very capable. It's a simple situation where he has to man up and go in the net and do the job. And it's Jim Taddy, non-negotiable.
Yeah, I mean, I confirm it as well. It's just that the start is critical. Because, listen, we're going to get the Leafs are going to get Florida's best tomorrow. Like, they're going to be a response. And I would argue that Bobrovsky's going to probably be better. It might be a tighter game. It might be a different game. And the only thing he needs to do is have a good start to the game. Because if he lets a moldy one in or a greasy one, it just changes the complexion or the look of it. You know what I mean? The complexion of it.
Yep.
And last night, like you guys said, there was a redirect with the fourth goal was a redirect that goes under the bar. It's just greasy, but you could feel through the TV the crowd go, oh man,
please, Woll, just get to the finish line.
The underpants cam, right?
Yes.
Like there was some bad bounces, all of that type of stuff. So if he has that to start the game or tomorrow, you're like, that's the only thing is he has an opportunity to slam it shut. Keep in mind, this guy played, what did he play? 42 games this season. He played more than Stolarz.
Yes, he played a lot.
There was a time when we were on this show going, Woll gets the puck. He gets the net game one.
Yep.
Like so he's got an opportunity, however unfortunate it is for Stolarz. And I'm not convinced. I'm telling you, this Stolarz, reading comments, Brandon Carlo go, he's at breakfast this morning smiling. I'm like, okay, like what does that mean?
Well, listen, I think, I'm pulling for the guy. Personally, I find it impossible to believe the guy can be stretchered out of the arena and throwing up everywhere and play 48 hours later. I mean, I just feel like there's elements of malpractice that come with that.
Wow.
Doctors, they're like, really? You're going to play? Like, this isn't 1964 anymore.
It wasn't 1998. I did that in 1998. I got knocked out in a game, spent the night in the hospital, and played 2 nights later.
That's insane. I mean, that is crazy behavior.
And the funny part about it, who can vouch for it, was Struddy. I got knocked out in the second period against the Vancouver Canucks. They put me in a dark room. In the third period, they wheel Struddy in. He's like, so he's laying beside me. I can't remember what happened to him. He was getting stitched or he got hurt. And we're both talking, laying in this room. And he was laughing, going that the team, I think we were winning like 7-0.
Yeah.
And when they knocked me out, Struddy goes to the bench, was going, we got him. We can come back in this game. It was so funny. But
that's great.
Anyways, the point being is, this isn't the 90s.
And that's my thing. That's I hope he plays. I mean, I hope at some point he returns. Hopefully this series. I mean, we don't know the timeline.
Yeah.
And I saw that from Carlo, and he said, "Listen, I saw him this morning. He's at breakfast, smiling. That's good. That's amazing." And you're pulling for the guy's well-being first and foremost.
But you have to be mindful of a concussion.
Yes, I mean, I think it would be absolutely shocking if Stolarz is playing tomorrow. I don't think he'll be dressed. I mean, that's what and that's why let me confirm. I'm going to Fergie this, okay?
Yeah.
Let me confirm.
You can't. It's playoff. You cannot even. We shouldn't even
confirm or deny that.
Shouldn't be allowed to say the word Fergie in the second round of the playoffs.
Okay, I'm going to Nico. What's that guy's name? Nico Hollins.
Nico Harrison.
Nico Ferguson.
I blanked out his name. Nico Harrison. This thing. I confirm that Woll's playoff experience should bolster the confidence of the team. Here's where I'm concerned.
Dude, you're just...
Here's where I'm concerned. This guy gets it. He's been injured in the playoffs. And that's what is concerning about his playoff experience, that we showed up at Game 7 in Boston last year, and it's like, can't go.
Yeah,
that is terrifying.
You remember what I
man.
just said about non-negotiable? Sorry, there's no getting hurt. There's no poor performance.
I hear you,
This
man.
is the moment in your career where you got to really, as Ray Ferraro would describe, as putting your big boy pants on and get your ass in that net and play well. Non-negotiable. There's no excuses, man.
What if he doesn't? That's the thing is like, what if he doesn't?
Then he
have a
doesn't,
great
Jamie. I've said it before. It's a do it or don't league. So if you go in there and you don't do the job, then you didn't do the job.
Okay, let me ask you this. Confirm or deny, Joe, we're flying around here. Confirm or deny the Maple Leafs can beat the Florida Panthers with simply average goaltending.
No, you can't win any series in any round with average goaltending.
The Jets just did. I mean, I'd argue they. Okay, continue. Go ahead.
I stand corrected. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
The Jets just did it, but I wouldn't want to roll the dice with it. I'm denying it.
You're denying
I'm denying it because I would say this series, this isn't the St. Louis Blues, who were, yes, on a heater down the stretch. This is the Florida Panthers, the defending Cup champions. You have to give them that respect. And I think you need better than average goaltending. I think you're going to need, you're going to need that. Bobrovsky was no good last night. He handed them some goals. Mm-hmm. You're going to need the guy at the other end to outplay him on several nights.
Yeah. Now, the benefit that Woll has is he's starting up 1-0 in the series, right?
Yes.
Like that is a big benefit. Like you got a home ice. You won game one. You're not expected to be perfect all the time. That's not fair to anybody. Outside of Hellebuyck in overtime in Game 7, that's not expected of anybody. But I do deny this as well. That you're going to need better than average goal. You can't have like a 904 save percentage or whatever the average is.
Keep in mind, like Florida, their thought process is to try and split the series. Like
of course. They win Game 2 tomorrow night. They're fine. And then you're going down to Florida, and it's reverse. You got to get a split there.
Right.
And shrink the series down.
Exactly. I think that's the process here. And, it'd be just interesting to see the adjustments for both teams. And again, I don't know, everything's cloak and dagger. And now, in my mind before I came on the show, I was like, Stolarz is playing tomorrow. You guys have talked me out of it, but it's like...
I think it was so extreme.
It is extreme, but...
Throwing up in a stretcher out of there and going to the hospital, that's pretty wild stuff.
It is wild, and it's very concerning. But I just, in the end, I'm glad that he's at the rink and not in a hospital.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep, that's a big step.
You know what the bad part about my head goes last night? All I could think of them stretching it off, and then, I'm like, I hope he doesn't get Modano. Is there a video of it? Is there? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Someone's got an iPhone down there. They're like, oh, there's Stolarz. Did you just see that? I can't believe what I just saw.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Sam Rosen was down there. I mean, you never know.
Exactly.
All right, we'll continue. I just hammered the mic. Haven't done that in a while. I got more confirm and denies. We'll get to. Mike Johnson will join us. We got Craig Button coming up. How about Lou Lamoriello? What a master plan, right? Yeah. Lou knew exactly what he was doing, hooking up the Islanders with the lottery win last night. They'll have the first pick in the draft.
Pretty convenient where you gassed their All-Star game and then you gave them the first overall pick an hour later.
Exactly.
You think the governor of New York might have told Jerry, hey, how about we find
Jerry, we don't even care if you come for the All-Star game, but you better find something to make us happy.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. First overall, New York Islanders.
Exactly.
That is very convenient now that I think about it. All right, more on that still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Mike Johnson in 15 minutes. His reaction to Game 1 last night. Leafs up 1-0 in the series. Game 2 tomorrow night. We got a couple of games in the Stanley Cup playoffs this evening. I do think we have an obligation to address your dressing room, which I went to check out last night after the show because we didn't.
Okay, let's just clarify. Not immaculate, but worlds better than what it was, right?
Yes, you had set the bar very low so that, that...
What was your initial... Initial reaction, door opens, you say in your brain, what?
This guy is still 325 pounds.
Yeah.
That was my initial reaction, dude.
You said that video, I was like...
What are you talking about? The ties are hanging up, the suits are all hung up.
There's belts on the ground.
There was a pile of garbage to the left of whatever. There was like a pile of something. I don't know what that was.
It's a nice belt. It was just one belt. Where else am I supposed to put the belt?
Do you give permission for Joe from the Bridge to roll the viz? You got it. It's your locker room.
I am so confident. Listen to this.
Okay.
Play it.
Okay, let's find. I'm throwing this at Joe. Go to my stories on Instagram. I posted it. I can't tell you how many people were writing me last night saying, Sorry, is this a flashback? I'm confused. I thought you said this guy's dressing room was immaculate. Can you please show the new version?
But, dude, I don't know what's dirty. I don't know what is dirty in that dressing room.
When he pans, it's beautiful on the right where your suits are. And then he pans to the left, there's a cooler. And then right to the right of the cooler is a pile of I don't know what. That
pocket
could have been
squares. Those are pocket squares.
There's 840 of them piled up. Like, I thought a raccoon was going to come out.
Guys, if we're going to get nitpicky about pocket squares, like, that place used to be a garbage disposal dumpster. Okay,
it was.
Yes, it was.
But it was still, from a cleanliness standpoint, like, I would give it a 5.5 out of 10. Like, it wasn't. You said immaculate. You were using that word, so I was like, this thing is going to be.
I thought spotless, dude. I thought St. Peter's Basilica. Like, I thought I'm walking through that. There's going to be people running tours through here saying you've never seen something so spotless and so immaculate. And instead, it was. I get, you had your ties hung up, but even that, the ties were a disaster. There's stuff all over. There's a Leaf jersey on the ground for some reason.
Like, I don't know. There's
just Gatorades that I know where you got those. You didn't bring those in. I know where you got
walked
those
from the table across the hall.
100%. I looked at those Gatorades. I'm like, he didn't buy those and bring those in here. I know
I'll be
exactly
the first
where
to
you got
admit,
those.
if there's stuff lying around at Trade Center, I
know
it
that.
and go
Smuggling.
Right in there.
You're smuggling. You're from.
We have to see the video and break it down.
All right, we'll get the video. I jammed up Joe. I wasn't. I was expecting you to say
Guys,
don't show it.
Come back at 5 and start the vid off the hop because we'll do a quick breakdown and you can't find anything, man.
All right,
this is like an interrogation video. I'll say freeze it and show me what you're talking about.
Full breakdown of the Florida man's dressing room next.